I didn't even realize. Thankfully, didn't miss anything. And here we go, spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Hardlead. We have the Taiwanese Terran player representing Mystery Gaming. It is Naxin. Naxin. God damn it. And spawning in the top left, we have his opponent. We have the Chinese Protoss player representing Mystery Gaming as well, as this is a team kill. It is JoliwaLoves. Here we go. And as we get into this game as well, I want to give a shout out to some people in the chat. We did have some subscriptions. So again, I apologize for not shouting you out earlier. I don't think we have alerts on in this scene. But a shout out to NeatPete8. Thank you so much for subscribing with tier 1. And also a big shout out as well to Sunnyboy for subscribing with Twitch Prime as well. We appreciate the support. We appreciate it. All the money that we make here goes towards our tournaments that we do host. We host plenty of regional events over the weekend. So thank you so much for the support. We do appreciate it, as we are still in the early hours of the cast. Still plenty of matches ahead of us, and again, plenty of regions ahead of us as well. As we are getting into our next game, and so far nothing too crazy. So far we do have actually a single gas opener here. The probe does get knocked down, but Naxin actually delays his expansion. Very interesting choice. So with this, he's going to be going for a delayed CC, faster factory off of one gas. This should be for an add-on swap into Hellions. Oh, actually, sorry, mate, we're in the new patch. It's TvP. Add-on swap into potentially even Cyclones. I'm not too sure if we have the gas for it yet. As back at home, JoliwaLoves has chosen his tech of choice, Gate Expand, into a Twilight Council from Joliwa. Okay, so this is looking to be a Blink Stalker opener from our Protoss. Meanwhile, back at home, it is Hellions indeed. Not quite Cyclones, not yet, as we may get there at some point here. Again, Cyclones, they do have their place in the early game of TvP. They can be quite potent, quite powerful, quite terrifying, to be honest. And yeah, I'm curious as to how Naxin is able to use them. I actually haven't casted Naxin in this patch. It's been a bit of a shame, but yeah, we haven't had the luxury of casting him yet. He's been signing up, but he hasn't checked into a GPO. So, that's of course one of our events, Grand Platypus Open. It's a regional, and unfortunately we haven't been able to see him. So yeah, in the end, we are not going to be throwing down. Oh my god, we're not going to be starting Cyclone production yet, but that is a second factory. A second factory and a second starport. This is looking like the beginnings of even a 2-base all-in here, as we should eventually start working towards Cyclone production. But yeah, this is wild. This is not normal, Poppy. There we go. The Cyclones are now on the way. Initially, we're going to be moving out here with the Hellions and with the Reaper as well. Going to be moving out across the map, looking for some economic damage. The wall, though, is looking solid, and there is no way into the natural base. Joliwa just completely walling off. He's got a couple units behind this. The wall is taking some damage, but the Stalkers have arrived, and the Stalkers should be able to deal with this for the most part. But the Reaper does dip into the main base, and we're going to get a full scout of the main. Naxin will get eyes on the tech of choice. Meanwhile, Joliwa does bust through, cancels his gateway, able to shoo away those Hellions and take a third base. Probe does go down, and how many gateways do we have in total? 2 gates here for Joliwa. 2 gates into a third, so a very economic opener out of JoliwaLoves. Those wondering, when you go for a Blink Stalker opener, you can go 2, 3, or even 4 gateways. Each number of gateways does kind of provide for a different amount of aggression and how economic you want to be. Because it's only 2 gateways, we just rush into a third. So again, Joliwa being very macro oriented, very economic. Meanwhile, behind this, Cyclones are banking up back at home. We have tanks as well. And so far they have not revealed themselves. So far they have not revealed themselves. As it looks like this, sorry, I was a little bit distracted, but it looks like we do manage to blink into the main base. Not too many Stalkers. Remember, we don't have a War Prism. We cannot reinforce, so We do see Naxin getting ready for a surround here, trying to trap in these Stalkers. They cannot blink out. They have to recall back home instead. We do get a recall, but 2 Stalkers go down, but we get a scout of the full main base. We get confirmation of the mass Cyclones that are on the way. And how do we respond to this? We have charge and production, additional gateways as well. We need additional warp-ins. Joliwa now moving out here, going to try to meet up with the army out on the map. Oh, we're pulling the boys. It is a 2-base all-in. Adam Naxin takes out the observer. I think maybe even just before the boys have been spotted. And now we are committed again. The lock-ons are real. Cyclones, they are very fragile, and their lock-ons can be broken with these blinks. But the army is not stopping. The first Immortal has arrived. Has arrived. Overcharge as well, putting in a lot of work. The tanks, they're getting within range. They're shelling away at the army. The Stalkers are going down one after the other. And the DPS is too high. The Immortal goes down even through the overcharge. The amount of tanks, the amount of Cyclones is just too much DPS. And Naxin is busting on through. But again, he's on a timer. He has to kill Joliwa with this push. Killing or cleaning up the army is not good enough. We can see Joliwa taking it slow, warping in wave after wave of Stalkers and Zealots. Charge is now done. And with that, he's able to collapse on these tanks. The first tank does go down. And we're going to be able to get on top of the second tank as well. But not the third. It looks like Naxin should still barely have enough. 1 tank is left, Papi. Only a single tank, and we bust on into the natural base. 13 workers have gone down at the same time. I mean, we did pull the boys, and an equivalent amount of workers also fell. Joliwa warping in another wave of Stalkers. Another wave of Zealots, sorry. The natural base will go down, but we gotta keep going. We gotta keep pushing. We have to go all the way as the Zealots come in from behind, and the tank is so low. It is not focused down. The surround is real, and the Cyclones, they protect the tank, and with that, Naxin has done it. He has broken through. GG gets called, and Naxin will take game number 1. Ooh, GG. GG, well played. Naxin, and we've been talking about this. We've been talking about how the new Cyclone, it isn't really a unit that can be massed, especially in a longer macro game against Protoss and Zerg. Mass Cyclone doesn't seem too good, to be honest. But in the early game, especially in the early game of TvP, there is a place for Cyclones, and there are also some really strong 1 and even 2-base all-ins that you can do with these Cyclones. And this was an interesting variation. Cyclones alongside tanks. Remember, it was 3 tanks in total. It was 3 tanks in total, and yeah, really well done. Shout out to Naxin for Naxin, sorry. God, I keep saying Naxin. Naxin for keeping those tanks alive, to preserve that push, to hide the push as well. Remember, the push was not seen until it was already halfway across the map. And yeah, just really well done, really well executed. By Naxin, and with that, he takes a lead in this series. He is up 1-0 against his opponent, against JoliwaLoves. Again, it was also quite fortunate that Joliwa happened to be going for an economic opener. Remember, he went 2 gates into a 3rd base, which meant that he didn't really have the best production to really support his army. He didn't have that many Stalkers to begin with either. It did mean that, yeah, he was overwhelmed and overpowered by the all-in that came across the map. And whew, that was quite an explosive game 1, but I don't know how much that game really gives us a read on the players themselves. I don't know how much that really gives us insight on the players, because obviously Naxin, he can be a macro-oriented player as well. He doesn't have to go all in. He isn't the most cheesiest of players. He can go toe-to-toe with Joliwa in a much more standard game. But I'm sure now Joliwa, he's going to be the one that's, the pressure's on him to kind of dictate the pace of the game and try to switch gears and catch his opponent off guard. We'll see. We shall see. As we get ready for our next game, a big shout out to Chileno Singaporean in the chat, subscribing for 33 months. Oh, almost 3 years. Almost 3 years of support. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Gracias, papi. Gracias. Yeah. Bienvenidos. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. Again, all the subscriptions, all the money that we make here on the channel does go towards our tournaments, does go towards our events in general that we do host over the weekend. Events like Grand Platypus Open, the Tenacious Turtle Tussle, Sparkling Tuna Cup, plenty of StarCraft here on the CranKy Ducklings every single day. Oh, we appreciate it, Chileno. We appreciate it. But for the time being, we are just getting ready for game number 2. GLHF. Game 2 is going to be on Alcyone. It's game 2 on Alcyone, game 3 on Site Delta. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Make sure we're able to keep up with said vetoes. And here we go. Oh, I'm just writing it down because I've been making the lobbies. So just want to make sure we know what's going on. And here we go, spawning in the top right hand corner of Alcyone. We have the Taiwanese Terran player leading the series 1-0 after that insane do-ace all-in with double factory, by the way. Leading the series 1-0, representing Mystery Gaming, it is Naxin. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Chinese Protoss player also representing Mystery Gaming down in this series. It is JoliwaLoves. Again, Joliwa, he looked good, he looked strong, he looked powerful against Ender, but if you remember, there was a very different dynamic that was taking place. Against Ender, Joliwa was the one that was dictating the pace of the game. He was the one that was going for aggressive openers in Game 1 and Game 2 with that Twilight Council. In the previous series, Joliwa was, again, kind of dictating the pace, and it was Ender who had to react and respond to his opponent. And now the turns have tabled. Now, Naxin, he's the one that's going all in. He's the one that's being in the face of his opponent, and Joliwa was caught with his pants down in that last game. We'll see how he changes things up here in game number 2. I expect to see at least a 3-gate Blink Stalker opener, maybe even 4-gate Blink. For now though, the probe does get across the map. It's going to be tasing away at these SCVs, going to be just disrupting the production for a moment, forcing an SCV off the mineral line. And once again, a single gas opener out of Naxin. Now, in the previous game, we saw a Rax into factory into CC despite the single gas, which led into all those Hellions in game number 1. Here in game 2, we do go for a Rax expand opener, but the CC on the high ground. So a very safe location for this orbital. This means that if we did make a Zealot first, or if we did send an Adept across the map, this orbital will not be delayed. It will finish, it will turn from a command center into an orbital, and Naxin's economy won't be too disturbed. Now, finally, after that, we're going to be working towards that factory. Joliwa is looking to save and hide this probe, and the SCV likewise going to be hiding here at the linear third base location as well. Now, the goal of this Reaper is to find this probe. That's the role here. He's scouring the edges of the map, checking his triangular third base. He's taking control of the Zonaga, but he has missed the probe, which means Joliwa can go back in for a secondary scout. Meanwhile, Twilight Council opener. Now, I said before, I expect to see either a 3-gate Blink or a 4-gate Blink out of Joliwa. We'll see if he does throw down additional gateways or if he goes for another 2-gate opener instead. Meanwhile, the probe does end up checking here, is waiting and chilling here at the natural base. Meanwhile, we have a proxy starport coming in. Reaper goes in towards the main base, does confirm the Twilight Council. Naxin has a piece of the puzzle. And with this starport, we can go for a couple of different things. We can try and go for a Hellion drop into the natural by proxying a Medevac, or we can proxy a Liberator, have Hellions rush into the natural, and maybe the Liberator go into the main base. Based on the positioning, this looks like a Medevac, but we'll see. Oh! As the Reaper is not going to get caught out. Whew. Does barely manage to escape. Command Center is going to be landing on location. Adept is here to try and punish it and be a little bit annoying, but we have plenty of Hellions to deal with that. And there it is. There is that Medevac. So it is going to be a Hellion drop towards that mineral line. But Joliwa has control of the Zonaga. So Naxin has to be careful, and yeah, he's going to hug the northern portion of the map instead. He's going to go the long way around, and he will not be scouted. Meanwhile, how many gateways? We have 1 gateway in the main, we have 1 gateway in the natural, 2 gateways in the natural, so there we go, 3 gate opener. Sorry, my apologies. 3 gateways in the natural, 1 in the main, 4 gate opener, so very aggressive start here from JoliwaLoves, but the Hellions, they get in! The Hellions, they do bust in towards that natural base, late reaction! A lot of workers are going down, they do line up! 7 probes, 8, soon to be 9. Okay, we settle on 8 and we save every single Hellion. We get another probe here at the 3rd base location as well. There's that 9th worker. This is a strong start here for Naxin, bearing in mind that this is a... Oh, never mind. This was a 4-gate opener, but it looks like one of the gateways was cancelled. It is 3 gates. With 3 gateways, you do actually gain map control. You apply pressure, but you expand behind it. You prioritize your 3rd base. Unfortunately, the economy not looking too hot here for our Protoss player. Oh, but he will not catch the drop. The medevac will barely escape the clutches of these stalkers. Back at home, Naxin just building himself up into a 3-1-1 setup. Now, unfortunately, his medevac production is delayed, but his marines and tanks, we're getting well underway here. We're going to be threatening a drop into the main base. JoliwaLoves rotating his stalkers into position, getting at least 1. 3rd base is being taken. JoliwaLoves, he has to take a defensive position instead. He does have an adept to scout, and he will spot the medevac. Oh, but again, he is across the map. JoliwaLoves, he's looking to blink into the main. We have 1 tank covering the natural, 1 tank in the main. We have 1 tank in the center. We do have high ground vision. JoliwaLoves, he's looking for an opening. He's looking for a way in. No bunker on the low ground. Uh-oh. Yeah, we go straight for the tank. With no bunker here, there's nothing protecting it. The first tank does go down. Oh, medevac, a bit of an F2, but okay, there we go. The medevac does boost back. JoliwaLoves again, only with 1 stalker in position. There is potential. There is potential for damage. 2 stalkers in the natural. And JoliwaLoves is just slowly saturating his 3rd. He's not committing. He's not committing in. He picked off a tank. That was great, but I think that's all he should be getting. Oh god, no! The transferring workers. 2 more probes go down. We're going to get a 3rd. We could even potentially get a 4th. Oh. 4th. And even a 5th as well. I'm afraid to look at the units lost tab, but 15 workers have fallen this game. 15 probes. Essentially a mineral line, and with that, JoliwaLoves, his economy is still recovering, still on par with the Terran, which should not be happening. The other thing that's scary is that now we're working on our move out. We throw down 2 more Raxes, and I'm curious how committed this push is going to be. If we wanted to, we could try and pull the boys. Medevac does go down. Naxin is moving out. As he moves out, the Prism with charge lots are going in. And we are pulling the boys. We're going for a 2-base all-in. Zealots will disrupt the economy. They will force things to be a little bit awkward here in the main. But Naxin, he doesn't care. And I don't think that we have enough to defend. We have a couple of Zealots. We have a Dark Shrine on the way. That could come in clutch. Again, we do have to be very careful here with how and when we scan. As the army is pushing on forward against Zealots, they warp into the main base. More boys are... Okay, they're transferring over. I was like, are we pulling more boys? Gonna be transferring over towards the natural base. The tanks, they do get in position, but the Dark Shrine is going to finish. And that is huge. We need energy for scans, and we just do not have any. There we go. 1 DT is being morphed in. And do we notice? That is the question. Do we take note? Do we start up a missile turret? There it is. There's the scan. The first ET goes down. And we do take control of the natural. We have to keep on going. We have to keep on pushing. 2 more Dark Templar are being morphed in. At the same time, there's actually a DT across the map as well. Oof. But a turret is just about to finish. Oh my god. Wise moves here out of Naxin to be able to get a turret across the map. And now he's going to be pushing in towards that main base. But we still need scans. And Zealots are breaking in. Zealots, they are breaking in towards that natural. The natural has to be given up. We cannot hold on to it, but at the same time, I feel like Naxin should have enough here to break the main. Oh my god, that DT going ham. A lot of damage is being done. We end up recalling here towards that hidden base, that third. But now we get on top of the Dark Shrine. Dark Shrine is going to go down. Boys are being pulled. We are getting into a base trade. It's the only way that Joliwa can win this game, but he has lost the Dark Shrine. He has two Dark Templar left. One at home, one across the map. And Naxin, he is slowly, barely holding on. That tank putting in a lot of work in the back line. We blink into the main. The Marines are going down. But at the same time, we are pushing towards that final base. Oh, do we have scans? We do not. Uh-oh. We do not have enough energy for a scan, by the way. Buildings are being lifted. And because the buildings are in the air, we can't scan. This one DT. If it chases, yeah, it's not going to chase within range of the turret. Gold base is being taken. We need to land a CC. Ay. Now, can this one Dark Templar win the game? I don't think so. I think we're still going to lose this Nexus, and with some drop play, we can come across this Nexus as well. The reality is that these floating buildings cannot die. Of course, Stalkers shoot up, true, but if we do manage to get into some dead space and dead air, like there's no flyer units. There's no way to hunt down these buildings. From here, you can see Naxin. He's looking for where the base is. Okay, the orbital taking a lot of hits. Zealot's out of the map, and oh, does he come across it? Oh, he's so close. The prism. He catches the prism. He does not catch the Nexus. Prism was good, but he is going to the safety of his orbital. He wants to save his base. Comes across the Zealots. We can scan. That's the important part. We can scan. GG gets called, and Naxin does it. Naxin will take the series 2-0, taking down JoliwaLoves. GG. Oh my god. GG, well played. Congratulations to Naxin with a 2-base all-in, 2 games in a row. But remember, it wasn't just the all-in. It was the fact that Naxin was able to cripple the economy of Joliwa with those Hellions. The Hellion drop killed, remember, 15 workers. Basically, an entire mineral line went down to those Hellions. The economy was crippled, and the pressure was on Joliwa to somehow come back, to somehow do some counter damage. But alas, he couldn't. He could not pull it off, and wasn't able to see the all-in coming or prepare for it either. I did love the Dark Shrine. The Dark Shrine was a very cheeky move to be able to survive an all-in, and it was working, kind of, right? It's like it was slowing down his opponent. It was putting in a lot of work. Well, it's putting in a lot of work, and congratulations to Naxin as he will take the series in the end, advancing on to a qualifying match. Congratulations. My condolences to Joliwa, because this is the second and final match here. The second and final qualifier, the Open Qualifier. And that means that if you don't make it here, you don't make it, period, into the closed qualifiers of the last season of 2023. So my condolences to Joliwa. He will not be a part of the closed qualifiers. He put in a good showing. He did well against his opponents. He did well against Ender, but last did struggle here against Naxin. And now Naxin advances on to face off against his next opponent. The qualifying match is going to be Naxin versus Potato.